What's going on, everyone, and welcome to the 185th installment of the Bench Time podcast with Todd and Brett Wiley of Wiley's Scale Modeling. And it's February now, February 1st, and we have Brian Wolfe from Mainline Hobbies on this week. Brian, I have a funny story before we get into everything. Well, you already know that we had some technical difficulties getting you on the line here for a few minutes. But my dad texted me to make sure I had the right phone number for you, and it ended up being a couple digits off, and it was the Walmart pharmacy phone number. So on top of the other issues that we had, we almost dialed Walmart pharmacy. So yeah, that'd have made it interesting.
I'm like, oh, no, not that phone number, not that phone number. It's Walmart pharmacy. Don't call that one.
So that would have been fun. We'll call them next time for the show.
There you go.
But thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks a lot. We're glad to have you on, and we had you on a couple years ago, and we had a great time talking with you. For anybody out there, our listeners, before we get rolling into it, Brian has Mainline Hobbies Supply, which is in Blue Ridge Summit, Pennsylvania, at the top of the mountain, just
the
southwest of
bustling town of Blue Ridge Summit. It is a nice little town.
It is. Sure. It's just, you get some elevation going up there. My ears pop on the way up,
There you go.
But it's a little southwest of Gettysburg and Fairfield town in Pennsylvania.
Yep.
So it's we're through there. I go up there and visit a lot.
It's not
and
far
I'll tell
for
the listeners.
It's not far for people our Maryland listeners. The Hagerstown area, Smithsburg.
Right.
I'm sure you guys get a lot of Maryland and PA customers in there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
So,
and I'll be honest with you, we've been to hobby shops, Brett and I. We've gone to some of the big shows and such, and we've been to hobby shops from Massachusetts to South Carolina. And I'll be honest with you, I will gladly say, and I'll be challenged out there by anybody else, but the supply that you keep on stock is unrivaled. And I always enjoy going there. I know usually I'm going to be able to always find something I need. And it's a very in my opinion, it's the best maintained. I got to turn my phone down here. Best maintained supply and, just real good service.
Yeah, well stocked.
It's the best hobby shop I've been to. So,
well, thank you guys. Appreciate that. Yes, really do.
And I'm not gonna lie. I've been bad, and I'm not proud to say this. I have not been down since COVID, unfortunately, for multiple reasons. Just because I'm got kids growing up and everything else, and that everything else threw a wrench in it the last couple of years. But I do plan to come down here sometime shortly through the winter here and pay you a visit. And actually, before we get into the store itself, I had a question for you, Brian.
Sure.
Are you planning to still have the Blue Ridge Summit train show in the spring here? Is that still a thing?
We have the South Mountain Division. Yeah, the South Mountain Division will have their clinics day on April 8th.
Okay, all right.
Doors open at 9 o'clock, and the clinics will run into the afternoon.
Awesome. Cool.
Very cool.
I think my dad and I should try to make a point to come down there again for that.
Yeah, we were going to do that. They asked us to do some clinics there last year, and we couldn't. We had other plans, so we couldn't make it on that April. But we'd like to go do that. We had a lot of fun doing that in the past. That's a really cool division that they have going on there, and so we'll make a point to stop up and visit and check it out. And I can attest. I've been there to your shop over enough to make up for what Brett hasn't going there. Yeah, I've been in there a lot lately, But I love to drive up, so it's great. I always stop at Tommy's pizza shop in Gettysburg for lunch on the way, and then hit you. So, but it's always a great place to go. So but we'll definitely be up there for that show. Have you ever thought about? Speaking of clinics, we were talking about the clinics that they do there at that event. Have you ever thought about holding clinics there within your shop?
if we had room. That's our biggest problem.
So you give, you take. So you
Right.
pack it out. So we had the best, but then you limit yourself, of course, with room for having clinics, and I get that.
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah, unfortunately, I mean, it's something that we've always wanted to do, and we've tried to do it at our open house when we have the layout tours.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody wants to go see layouts.
Sure.
So that's why the thing of having clinics day has really worked out very well. Everybody seems to like it, and everybody asks about, are we going to do it again next year?
Right. Right.
All the clinicians, they enjoy it, and they all say, well, we might be giving a clinic, but a lot of times we learn something too from somebody that's just sitting in on the clinic.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So it's a give and take, and works out very well for everyone.
That's the wonderful part about this hobby is no matter who you talk to or, who comes in or out of your shop or goes to his clinics and whoever we talk to at train meets or shows is that we all learn from each other. So that's a huge benefit for the entire hobby. It's something that you don't see so much in other hobbies, the sharing and being willing to help one another, and picking up and learning from other people. You sometimes, in the modeling hobby, other modeling ways, or other hobbies, people keep their skills and their techniques and things close to their vest and don't share them. And I don't see that happen with our hobby.
No, everybody's always willing to help, and it's like we get customers in the store, and somebody asks a question, and there's always somebody that's got their way of doing something too.
Oh yeah.
So everybody kind of shares, or helps out with everybody, and it's you don't see that with a lot of hobbies. You really don't.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, definitely don't.
No.
So one of the things though we wanted to talk to you about is products that are new out in the market. Like it could be anything that you're seeing that's coming. Maybe not a lot of people are familiar with. Is there anything out there new that you've been pushing? Like I get a newsletter in my email about once a week or so. It's got some new train or new type of product coming out that you're pushing. Usually it's trains. But yeah.
Right now is where to start? KV Models out of Canada has a HO scale 2-truck shade coming out. Something that's been missing from the hobby, except for the brass, since Bachman made theirs, like 10 years ago or so. That'll be a new line that we're picking up. Then Arrowhead Models, they do highly detailed HO scale freight cars, very limited production. They do they're doing a Rio Grande hopper.
Okay.
They'll do 12 numbers, and that's it.
Oh my.
Yeah, they do the one car at a time, and that's it. And like with Blaine Hatfield, the owner of Arrowhead, he says, well, the thing is, there's only so many dollars out there. And if you throw 13 road names with 12 numbers each, it limits the consumer on what he can buy.
Right, sure.
Where if you stick with one road name, do that, and then go on and do another road name down the road, it frees up money to do a little bit more stuff.
It's also kind of like I equate it to. Has everyone ever been to a cheesecake factory, or or you go to a restaurant where the menu is huge, and
Brian, we go completely off scale on things, so off topic on things. So
yeah,
so I'm interested to see where
off
this
the
is
rails.
go.
No, this is good. This is good, and this comes from my marketing background too.
All you're doing so far is making me hungry.
I know, cheesecake and your favorite restaurant. But but I'm saying, if you ever go to a cheesecake factory, and this is with any restaurant, and anyone can think of this restaurant, you go in and the menu is way too big. And you almost also get, for newer consumers, you also almost get that paralysis analysis of what do I do? Where do I buy? Like, there's too many selections, and we've seen that.
Yeah.
We see that in this hobby as well. Sometimes there's too much to choose from. So
Yes.
the menu's too big. So it's cool to hear that someone's coming out with a very, a smaller selection of locomotives or even stock to buy in the hobby. That way you're not, they're not flooding the market with too much stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Tangent started out that way. HO scale models, high quality, the best out there, I think. And now, he used to do a release every couple months. Now he's every month kicking out something, a new paint scheme or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And it's like, you guys come in and say, there's just so much. How do you choose?
Right.
Right, and your pockets are only so deep. I mean,
Yeah.
I even come into your shop, and I don't buy a lot of train stuff, okay? Because
Right.
we do more scenery things, but I go in there, and you have the best selection of vehicles. Nobody has a selection of vehicles that you do for model road ready. I mean, we're talking about, of course, ours are on the HO scale, but you have all the die-cast ones hanging on that back rack, on that whatever those sliding cabinet doors are behind there.
Right.
Then you have all the Sylvan models, and
Mhm.
I have a stack pile of them here that I haven't even put together all of them yet. And then of course you have other die-cast little odds and end die. But there are so many choices
Right.
and I go in there and I'm like, I got to get some vehicles because it's one of the things in the hobby that, number one, vehicles aren't really low price. They're, for whatever reason, you can go out and buy a match.
It's like buying
horrible on the layout.
It's like buying rolling stock for your layout too. It's like,
Yeah.
but the vehicles are a tenth of the size, and they cost the same as rolling stock.
I know. And so you go in there with so much of a budget in mind, and I'm sure this is every hobbyist, no matter how much money they have. They know this is what I'm going in, this is what I'm going to spend. And then, so I'm sitting there looking at all your selection. This is what's great about your hobby shop, is I look at the selection of those vehicles, and I'm like, well, I want this one, but I want this one and this one and this one, but I only want to spend this much. So do I take that one or this one? And it puts you in a quandary. And then you get in the car, and I'm halfway down the side of that mountain. I'm going, shit, I should have got one of those other ones. I should have got that too while I was there, And of course, but that's a good thing. That's what keeps people coming back, is to have that. However, like you said, this is great on the scale of now. What you're talking about with these cars, are they kits that need to be built, or are they already pre-built?
They're already built.
They're already built. Yep.
Yeah, we're talking about the freight cars now.
Uh-huh.
Yes, they're all pre-built. The only ones doing kits is Atlas does some of the old branch line 40-foot box cars in HO, and AccuRail.
Okay.
All his stuff is still kits.
Right.
And we stock a lot of it, and we sell a lot of it, because there's still people out there that want to put something together.
Sure. A lot of the guys. Oh, go ahead.
And they're along the lines of the old Athearn Blue Box, the shaker box stuff.
Yeah.
It's a good quality car at a lesser price than one that's already put together.
Right.
But then you were talking about vehicles. The Sylvan cars, we've got over 300 models on the shelf.
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah, and it keeps bringing out more, and we keep running out of room to put them. But
I know, he puts them out. Wow.
Yeah. And then Burkina, they've come out with highway tractors, HO scale highway tractors, which are
nice.
are truly incredible looking pieces of art. But they're $30 couple dollars a piece.
Yeah.
So do I want that or do I want the freight car? It's it's. I realize it's hard on the customer, because it's hard on us knowing what to order.
I'm sure it would be. I'm sure it would be. And then you don't want to over-order anything that you end up getting stuck with, too. So that's the key. But, yeah, I mean, now, when you said about the boxcars and such, a lot of our listeners, there's many of them that we get on. We have our Facebook page for Wiley Scale Modeling, and then and there's thousands of people that are in there every day checking things. And then we have our HO scale. I'm sorry, at the our overtime at the bench podcast specific group, Facebook group, and there's hundreds and hundreds of people in that, and a lot of them are do like to model and do amazing work with building and painting those cars, and it's just incredible work on some of them. And a lot of them are true artists, and they love working with them, and they do a great job. So I'm sure they're very interested in hearing about these. They don't have to be built. A lot of them take already pre-built ones, and they love doing that anyways. And they just, either repaint them or paint or weather them or whatever. But it's just insane the detail they come out with on them. So
it's like. Burkina, like I'm saying, has brought out highway track. They brought out a 54 Peterbilt. I think they called them needle noses. Well, they put disc wheels on them. Well, those tractors originally came with spoke wheels. So, and then you can put the headache racks on, and like you're saying, you can super detail these things up and make your own model out of it.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, it really is. And getting about detail parts, I know you hit up the titchy rack every time.
I do. I'm in there quite a bit on the titchy rack. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. And, there's, I don't know how many numbers on that rack, but, he keeps bringing out more items, windows and doors and signs and stuff like that.
Sure.
So it keeps growing. And that's good. That's what the hobby needs.
Well, one of the cool features about your shop, and I wish other hobby shops did this. This is where I think a lot of them drop the ball, and that is in the detail part of what we do, and that is the scenery part. But I'm talking the little die-cast metal details and boxes and crates and shovels and parking meters, and you've got it. I mean, it's all over there. It's scattered all over the place. I often need your help, or one of your employees helps in there to look stuff up and find stuff for me. But it's you got it all. You got all those little mini detail parts that create the scene. I'm not talking about the vehicles and people, which you have as well. I'm talking about the piles of junk and all that stuff. It's there.
He's not calling not calling Brian's products piles of junk. He's saying
No, exactly.
no, I know.
If you want a horse saddle, we can fix you up with an SS limited horse saddle.
There you go.
It's that kind of stuff that you want to fill in the scene with.
So Brian,
because a lot of people love to do that.
So Brian, right now, what would you say is like the hot item currently at your store? Like there's probably you go through waves of demand, whether it's something new that comes out or like a trend. So what are you seeing as like in the modeling world, not even railroad specific, because I know you have some other stuff too. Like what's the hot thing right now?
For the past month, building kits.
Okay.
I think everybody's, inside.
They're cooped
staying
up.
Warm. Yep. The other thing is Scenic Express super trees.
Oh, we love them.
Yeah. They come in, and as fast as we get them, they're gone. And we can't keep them on the shelf.
Hey, that's a good thing, because you know what that means? It means there's a lot of layouts out there now that have some awesome looking trees on them.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yep. So that's been the big thing is the buildings and scenery stuff right now.
Do you find that the buildings are? Is this like a seasonal thing? Like, is in the winter? Do you go through a lot more scenery and building parts because people are just cooped up and doing more?
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's when most of the work gets done on layouts. And like guys were in past couple of days saying it's going to get cold next weekend. Got to have something to do. So we got track switches and buildings.
Nice.
And yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't think.
They're different than us, Brett. We build buildings and stuff all year long.
Well, yeah,
we
but
never stop.
it's funny.
But yeah.
It's funny that he said that. It's kind of like it's weather driven. Kind of, when the weather gets bad, everyone buys milk and eggs and bread.
Yeah.
And then they stop it when they know the weather's going to get bad. They stop down at their local hobby shop and pick up some stuff to work on when they're stuck inside.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of guys, are into golfing. Well, they're not golfing when it's 10 degrees outside. 20, yeah, but not 10. Yeah. So it drives the business a little bit.
So this weekend you may actually, it's supposed to be cold Saturday, so you may be doing some business on Friday and Saturday.
Well, we hope so. We hope so. Yeah.
So the other, so you brought up structures. You have a lot of structures up there, a lot of wallers. I have some that I bought from you that are not yet put together. Some buildings, and I have so many kits, craftsman kits and plastic kits that I had not put together and built on my shelf. But you have a great selection of all those, especially the wallers. Just about anything you can find, because we do tend to build a lot of structure kits that are craftsman kits that are made of your base, your basswood and all that stuff, and right. We do a ton of that, and then we do a lot of, Brett and I do a lot of, we do, and our listeners too do a lot of scratch building. However, we've all come to realize, and I think I'm seeing it more and more lately in this portion of our hobby, the craftsman side of the hobby, where you can't just have all wooden structures on your layout. You got to have some brick, So,
right.
So coming in and buying those kits are awesome, because you can come in, bring them home, and paint them up and put that brick structure on your layout. Or if you're not modeling the older ages like we are, there's so many more modelers that are modeling. I'm noticing the era of like the 60s and 70s lately seem to be real popular, and so you have many structures that would fit all of that, and
right.
So it's important not to just for all of us. And I years ago in the hobby, I used to see people building layouts and doing these super detailed structure kits and scenery for their layouts, and all their buildings were clapboard sided buildings, and I'm seeing a better mix of it now, which is really
right.
cool. And I love coming in there and picking out. I love building them as much as I love building a craftsman structure. It's all what you can do with it and what you want to do with it. And you can either slap it together real quick and put it on your layout, and it'll be just fine for what you want, or you can detail that thing out, add extra pieces and parts to it that you have in your shop there, by the way, and or paint it out to make it look like every brick is absolutely real. So it's all what you want to do. So it's all built there and ready for you. I think you have an awesome selection. You do have some craftsman kits on the shelf too, I believe.
Right.
A couple.
Yeah, we've got a few. We used to carry a lot of the micro scale models.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And that just kind of died off. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah.
But the Walthers, we try to keep the entire line on hand. American Model Builders keep a lot of their stuff, and a lot of folks come in and I build all these plastic kits. I want to try a wood kit, and the American Model Builders, you need glue for the four corners and put the roof on, and everything else is self-adhesive.
Right.
And they come back and, well, you're right, that's easier in a plastic kit. Yeah. And it looks better too.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And like I said, the plastic kits had their place. I was in there, that was in last spring. I was down there, and I was putting together a red light district, and it was like some seedy theater district type of thing, modeled out of the block down in Baltimore, and just to have that bad side of town, and right. And I needed a theater. And I was in there looking at theaters, and it's the goofiest find. I don't even know who the hell made the thing anymore now. It was up on the top shelf I was just looking through all the boxes, and it was on the top shelf. It's not even a full building. It was like a storefront of a theater. Oh, who made that? It looked like it had been sitting up there a little bit, too. But I grabbed it and looked at it, and I was like, this is the coolest thing. Well, who made that thing now? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. So I grabbed that in your shop. I've never seen one like it again anywhere. I even tried to Google it. And I could Google it, but I couldn't find anywhere to buy it. They had people that had used it, but I can't remember what it was. But like I said, you got a good selection of all that kind of stuff that, and some oddball things that, that a lot of people aren't going to have. I put a tower. Oh, that's the other thing. I bought a water tower from you down there, and put that on there on this new diorama thing I'm working right now. Mm-hmm. And that's also a Bachman. It was already pre-assembled. You just slide it out and stick it on, and then you can I weather it up obviously, and put a decal on, and they're marvelously built. They're real good. I love that kind of stuff. It's for us. It's a break. Sometimes you need a break from just doing the same wooden structures over and over again. I'm not knocking wooden structures. We love doing them, but right. You need that. You need to veer off into another area of the hobby where you can get a break from doing the same old thing. So so that's great. Yeah. We did a new product, so we did vehicles and figures. You have lots of figures there. I've been painting a lot of figures. You know what's hard to find? Nobody's selling unpainted figures. What's that about?
Demand.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Evidently.
Yeah.
What's the deal with Prizer? We were buying Prizer unpainted figures. I think I have like 400 of them or something like that. We got to paint, but are they going? Is Prizer going out of business? Did you hear anything along that lines?
No, I haven't heard anything about it. People come in and say, well, I want this. And, like last year, before Christmas, somebody wanted Santa Claus. Mm-hmm. And they come in the week before Christmas, they showed up. So it only took a year to get here. But it's just, I think Walther's is the only importer of Prizer. And that's the only place we have found to buy it recently. Yeah. We used to get it elsewhere, but that was ER Models, and they closed up shop.
Right.
But yeah, unpainted and painted. It's been a push trying to find stuff.
Right. I mean, I went in there just recently and right around Christmas and after Christmas, and I was just there a couple weeks ago, like 2 weeks ago, and I noticed the Woodland Scenics is making more and more figures, and they're making them really nice. So they're the ones that are pre-painted, and there's a good selection of them. And when they first started out with them, they didn't have a whole lot of them, and that seems to be growing, and the quality of them seems to be good. Woodland Scenics, I've noticed, is putting out some pretty decent product here. Not just the figures. I bought telephone poles from you too that are already pre-strung. And I did a whole thing on our page about those, and they look so real. I mean, and they were so easy to put on, and I was like, why would anybody make their own now? Obviously, you could make them and it'd be cheaper. I get that, but you're not going to get you're going to put a lot of time in to get the quality you get out, and they're made of wood, right? I think, or something. They look like they're made of wood.
They look good enough to be wood. I put them here on the O-gauge layout on the layout. I used them there, and I was very impressed with how easily they went together, and they look good.
Oh yeah, and you just slide them along and place them where you want. Yeah, tighten it, put the strength pull it to get the strength you want, or the tension you want on the lines, and glue it, and done. I mean, it was sweet. I mean, I detailed mine out a little further, and put like transformers on. I don't know if you saw pictures of them at all on Facebook. And then I put little extra lines on them running from the anyways, lines will run to different buildings and such. But yeah, transformer. But yeah, I mean, so but they're awesome, and that's something that I've not seen before. That Woodland Sinks. How long have they been out on the market? Do you know, or?
Probably 6 months now.
6 months. Yeah.
Yeah. Probably six or 8 months, something like that.
And now, they were coming out with those vehicles that have the lights in them.
Right.
They light up, and now then they also have street lights that are awesome looking, that you can get. They're already pre-lit, and well, I mean, they're wired.
And they're LED.
And they're LED, which is huge now. So
right.
The nice thing about, I'm thinking, with the LED is, with the lighting, that seems to be where everybody's going with this, is you don't run that risk as much of some kind of electrical fire problem or something like that on your layout.
Right.
They're very bright.
You don't have to worry about melting anything down.
Yeah,
exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So that's great that they're coming out with.
And the awesome thing about the Woodland Scenics ones is they plug into those blocks.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to worry about, the voltage or whatever on the line on your wiring or everything. They all come in those plug and play packages.
Oh,
right.
Yeah, that's sweet.
You know what I'm talking about? Like, then you might have to daisy chain a couple together, but those power packs make everything super nice.
Yeah. The plug and play is a sweet system.
Yeah.
And
for someone who does not want to wire every little light, it's a great thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not real good with a soldering iron, so yeah.
No.
But now, another thing I noticed that you have there is your scenery product. That's the big one for us. Everything. You have every type of grass, every type of ground material, all the stuff you need to create your scenery. It's a whole one huge corner of your shop. And right. It is, again, Woodland Scenics is a big portion of that. But you have other ones. You have the all the Scenic Express stuff, the Hecky stuff, the JT products, and trees upon trees. I went in there looking for trees, so I don't want to sit here and make trees. I had the super trees, and we made those. Okay, mm-hmm. But making trees is a very time-consuming thing, okay? And some other people can make. I don't want to get myself all wrapped up into making lots and lots of trees outside of the super trees. So I went down to your shop and I went in, and you have all kinds of different pine trees and trees you can make that are from Woodland Scenics in the kits, and different types of material like that. The JT has a bunch of trees. It's impressive. It's not just that. It's the super turf. That all the Scenic Express stuff is some of the best stuff to use, by the way. When we go to some of the train shows, when they used to have the Fine Scale Expo, Scenic Express, the guy that runs Scenic Express from out there in Altoona, he would set up his whole line of stuff. It was, he's got great product. So,
right.
But yeah, I mean, the scenery stuff that you have is just. It's the place to go, in my opinion, to get scenery. And you people that are out there listening and stuff, Brian, I'm sure gladly would mail order stuff too. So look him up at Mainline Hobby.
Yeah, his site actually says here.
Yep.
It was $10.95 or something shipping.
Yeah.
The
reason I say that,
$10.50 shipping for purchases up to $200 and $15 for anything over, and that's pretty flat rate, as I understand, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, like a lot of guys go, I just want a decal. Okay, we'll package it up, and a lot of times we'll charge you just what they charge us.
Yeah.
And that $15 fee, okay, you pay the $15, but it's only $9 to ship it. You get $6 back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, that's sweet.
Yeah, so we're not trying to make any money on shipping. We just want to get the product out there to you.
Yeah,
sure.
But you have to. I'm sure you have to put that up there as a base price, because sometimes you lose. As I know, sometimes you lose a little on shipping. Sometimes you gain a little on shipping. But it sounds like if you're a little over what you paid, you guys make it right. So.
Yeah.
And
Yep,
the reason I brought the shipping up is sometimes when I've going to hobby shops in the past, not yours, or I contact somebody online, and I've ordered a lot of stuff online. Let's go that way. I've ordered a lot of stuff online, and I'll contact the hobby shop and say, hey, can you ship this out? Well, I don't have it in stock. You have to wait for it to get here, blah, 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 blah. And you may still have to do that too. I mean, that's the nature of the business. Okay. But you have a ton of stuff on stock. So the reason I was telling our listeners is, hey, if you don't want to sit and wait I've called XYZ company and said, or got them online, and you get on there and you have to order it, and then they have to wait for them to order it, and then they have to get back to you. And you have to do that too in some cases, and we understand that. People have specific needs. However, if you already have it in your shop, it's getting to them a little quicker, and you have a well-supplied shop. So that's why I brought it up to our listeners on that. So,
well, I've seen shops where, like the Woodland Scenics racks are empty.
Yeah.
And what's on back order?
Mm-hmm.
Our Woodland Scenics, if we sell it over the weekend, we restock it by Tuesday or Wednesday.
Right.
And that's the thing. You can't have empty shelves if you want to be a store. You got to keep the shelves full, and that's what we try to do.
I had that down here on my list of questions here, and I think, and I'm gonna let you finish there in a second, but one of these things I see with hobby shops, that there's a lot of hobby shops out there that struggle, and I think that may be part of the reason is the fact that myself personally, I'll go in there and it's like, you don't even have anything, and then I want to order it, and I'll say, well, I'm looking for this. Oh, I don't have it, but I say, well, yeah, I see that, and well, we'll order from you. We can order from Walters. And I get that. That's where they have to get it from. And I get that.
Right.
Okay. But, if they don't have a lot of the things, I'd gladly order something if it's not in stock. But if you have like everything on my list that I came for and it isn't there, there's a good chance I'm not coming back. And that's got to be tough for hobby shops out there. I wonder, it's just a matter of they don't have enough going on, that they're not selling it or they're not busy. And there's probably a multitude of reasons. But I think that's got to be the main one for why hobby shops struggle, is because the customers come in and they can't find what they're looking for.
Right. And you guys have been here and you've seen how organized we try to keep everything. Mm-hmm. And we get a lot of compliments on that from other hobby shop owners that, sneak in and just to see what's going on and how we're doing. Because I do that myself. I've been from here to California in hobby shops, and that's where we got the sliding wall idea at. Hey, we got twice as much wall space now because we have a sliding wall.
I was wondering about that. I love that thing.
Yeah, I mean it's neat, but it gives us a whole lot more space to hang product out. It's not in a box somewhere. So it's just something you got to work at.
Yeah,
to keep the shelves full.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Brett.
And that's
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm good.
No, well, those sliding doors. When you go in there with me, Brett, when we were in there past, when I'm in there, first of all, anytime I'm in there, I'm like a kid at Christmas. Okay, so, and you're all excited. You're in there, you're getting the things you want, right? And then they have those doors, and you slide them. There's all this cool stuff on the door, and then you slide the door, and there's a whole nother row of cool stuff behind it.
Yeah.
So it's like that. It's like when you go to the fun house and you're having a great time, but you push that wall, and the door opens up to a secret room with a whole mess of other cool stuff. That's what it is.
Definitely.
Yeah. That's it. Anyways.
It's funny.
There, yeah.
Now, can we switch tracks here for a second? I don't know if we talked about this the last time we had you on, Brian, but can you give us like a little history of, the store and its inception and everything? I don't think we covered that last time.
I don't think we did either.
Kind of, your background and how you started it up, and what made you want to get into this crazy world of owning a hobby shop. I'm sure you've got plenty of stories too, but. Well,
there was a long story leading up to it, but it was basically like y'all were talking about going to hobby shops and not getting anything. That's what happened here. Went to hobby. Well, if you pay for it now, when it comes in, I'll call you.
Yeah.
And that just didn't set well with me. We had 2 little ones at home. The wife wanted something to do. This be a good, part-time job.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we had room at the house. We remodeled our garage, opened up that way, and expanded there. And after 6 years of being attached to the house and everybody and his brother using our bathroom, which was fine, but I said we got to do something, because we were stacked floor to ceiling down there.
Yeah.
And this lot was right up the street from the house. It was available, and we settled on it on a Friday afternoon at 2:30, and at 5:30 we finished pouring the footers, and Saturday morning at 6:30 we started laying block.
Nice.
The following Saturday morning at 9 o'clock we were setting trusses on the roof. So the fellows I worked with, we built it. I did all the wiring and plumbing, and
now, was
that's pretty much how the store got here.
Did you have a background in that previously to know to do that?
My background was high-rise construction. I worked for Miller and Long down in D.C. doing high-rise. But at this time, I was working for Frederick County as a building inspector.
Okay.
So I worked with a bunch of great carpenters, and they said, "Well, if you get the permits, we'll help you build it."
Nice.
And that's what happened.
Okay.
So it worked out. A bunch of us got together and we threw this building up, and it's been here for, I guess, 26 years this year.
Nice.
Wow.
Very cool. I know we didn't cover that last time, so I was just interested in what your what the background of it was a little bit. It's kind of neat to know that you had your hands in it too, like from the ground up, basically.
Yeah, I had my hands in it, a little bit of blood too. But
I'm sure.
I mean, I enjoy working with my tools. So
yeah. That's kind of how I am. I got a funny construction story about our layout, if you don't mind me for a second.
Sure.
My dad will laugh about this. Right after we recorded the last show with Bernard,
from Mini Prints,
from Mini Prints. Like the next night, my wife and I we were doing dishes or whatever, and the sink backs up, and I'm like, oh no, all right. Well, your first go at it is, all right, I'll just get some Drano, I'll check the trap, make sure the trap's clean. Well, we have an older home, and it was evident of how old our home was by this plumbing nightmare that I had. So real quick story, the owner, like a ranch home, like a longer ranch home, usually your plumbing runs down the center of the house, like, towards the septic or the main sewer line. Well,
right.
the center of our basement is also where the layout is. So right above the basement, right above the layout, I mean, is the drain line for the kitchen. So I get down there. I have a snake. I have a 30-foot drain snake. I snake it out. It comes back up. It's all claw. It's pulling out. It's just grease. The whole 25-foot or 30-foot of snake is grease. And I'm like, oh, this is not good. I started out in the plumbing industry, so I know what this is. So I get underneath. Mm-hmm. I cut a section of pipe out, like farther down the house, and it's solid, like solid grease. And so I start working my way back. Well, inevitably, it goes the whole way back basically to the kitchen on our little ranch, our house here. And so above, now I'm trying to tower over my layout with all this work we've done, trying to delicately cut pipe out that's draining from the sink, and it's clogged.
I'm so glad I was not there.
It's clogged the whole way back. Man, I had to replace 60 feet of drain pipe, and 30 feet of it's directly over our layout, and I'm trying to not get anything on. I got a little bit of mouse poop on there, but that's about it. But I laid some tarps down and nothing got damaged, but it's, similar, not similar to building a building, but it's good to have those skills to know, even for what you did, whether you're building a building or you're doing your own thing. This is not modeling related,
right?
But it's good to have those skills and know how to get your hands dirty from time to time, whether it's
I'm so glad that none of that leaked out over top and landed on our layout.
Oh my gosh. It was bad. It was really
I'm so
bad.
glad I wasn't there. I'd have been losing it.
Hey, but you know what? The good news is
I shared a.
The good news is my house all the way to the septic tank has brand new PVC drain pipe the whole way out.
Oh, good.
Anyways,
there you go.
You said you share a similar.
When you go to sell it, that'll be a plus.
Yeah. You said you have a similar nightmare there kind of story.
Yeah. No, I just reposted something that was on Facebook there yesterday. It said about, I forget exactly how it went, but it was if you get involved with model railroader, you become a carpenter, electrician. You learn all these skills and you have to think things through, and how much of a learning experience it can be.
Yeah.
To just be a model railroader.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. I think and the more you do, you pick up other skills. Like my dad said, he's not good at soldering, but I'll do the soldering. You learn how to solder, you learn how to wire, you learn how to work with, even though it's not 2x4s and large scale things, you learn how to work with lumber and small scale, but you pick up some finer skills like that, and it's good.
Yes.
Fortunately, you don't have to learn plumbing.
Yeah. Yep,
So,
that's for sure.
Oh boy. The
sorry, we went way off topic there.
Yeah, scratch building products, and a lot of people, I don't know if they realize. I know when I go into the store, a lot of people that are there shopping, they all seem to be on those main rows, where the scenery and buildings and trains and such are. But then on the other back half, you got, and this is what's really cool for me. I love this, okay, because this is where I can't find stuff from other shops for sure, and that's in the scratch building materials like strip wood, okay, panel, clapboard, strip wood. All those types of things you get from, I'm not sure which wood company that you use. I can't remember. I probably have it up here in a packet somewhere from stuff I bought. But who do you get that strip wood is from which company?
We have both Northeast and Mount Albert.
Oh, okay. So you have them both. They're the two biggies. And and those guys from Mount Albert, they have great stuff too. Anyhow, but you had that back there, and you have all the styrene, all the different types of styrene, and the styrene rod and strips and sheets of different thicknesses, and that's awesome because a lot of places are missing out on that. They don't have that, and and whether you're a craftsman structure builder or a craftsman builder or not, or you're just a model railroader that does pre-built stuff, there's things that you still have to make on your own. And a sheet of styrene goes a long way in, adding something up to the, put it in between the rails so you can make a road over the top for
styrene
over the railroad.
Styrene is a very versatile material.
Right, exactly.
Right.
So, but a lot of a lot of people need to know when you go to a store like Brian's here. I mean, look for that because he's got that supply of that stuff, and it's important to have those types of materials, whether you're using them all the time or not, to have some of them at home on hand for your use. And
we've got the smaller 12-inch pieces of Plastruck and Evergreen, and then from Plastruck we've got the big 2 foot by 1 foot sheets.
Yes.
Which, a lot of guys doing these steel mills got these big buildings, and there you have it. You don't have to be splicing pieces together to get your sidewalls and your roof. It's already 2 foot long.
That's awesome. And that's another thing too. People that make I guess they use that material for making their own rail cars as well, in some forms. So the guys that scratch build that stuff. So that's huge.
Because then we have Grant Line for bolsters, and then KD for your grabs and your ladders and your trucks, and I mean pretty much everything you could think of to build a car. Yeah, we've got it.
Oh, I've seen all the detail parts for cars and trains that you have down that one row, and it's just insane. The amount of stuff that's there, which is awesome. I mean, like I said, it's a hobby shop wonderland for me. But now, anything new that you're seeing out in technology? We talk. We all know about the technology with running DCC and all that. We run DCC as well, but there's always seems to be, and I'm not up on it, any new technology that seems to be coming out. This is an ever evolving hobby that way.
Have you heard of the Blue Namis?
No.
That's from Soundtracks. That is a sound decoder. Right now, that's all they're making is sound decoders. That all you need to do is have power to the track. You download their program, their app, and you have a command control system right there.
Oh my!
That's it. All it takes is a decoder and power on the track and their app, and it's a DCC system that runs off of Bluetooth.
Oh wow. My goodness!
So you don't even have to. You don't. Yeah, I mean that takes all the.
You run it from your phone.
It takes all the programming and stuff out of it for us common folk.
Right. You don't have to worry about a command control system of any kind. As long as you got a tablet or your phone, you've got it. And the really nice thing is with it, where now if you want to program a regular decoder, you got to go into the CVs or you got to use JMRI. With this thing, if you got a tablet, you can click on lights, and it'll bring up all the lights in the world, the functions and all that. And all you have to do is click on it to make it work. Yeah.
Wow.
It's a drop-down screen. It's super easy to use. If somebody wants to see it, they can go to Soundtracks' website, and they have a YouTube video there where you can just go to YouTube and view the Blue Nami.
Yeah.
It's a really impressive thing. The price of the decoders, I think, are $169, which is only $40 more than a standard sound decoder.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a 2-amp decoder. They have 4-amp decoders coming out here, I think, next month or the end of this month. So guys with G scale and O gauge or O scale can get in on this the same as the HO guys.
Oh my goodness! See, that is so cool. I would never thought that, to be able to run my phone, my train from my phone, my train stuff from the layout right from my phone.
Right. You can do that now with a lot of the systems.
Right.
But you need an interface. Where here you don't need the system, you don't need the interface, you just need the app. And
gotcha.
It's I think that's probably the up and coming thing for a lot of people.
Oh my. I think that's a fascinating. That's awesome. You can do that. Wow, I can be in Middletown at my job.
No, Bluetooth.
And run my train.
Bluetooth,
from my house and put some cameras on it.
That's different. That's I think with Bluetooth though.
Mechanicsburg.
With Bluetooth you have to be nearby. It's not Wi-Fi.
You have to be in the vicinity of it. Yeah.
But don't get with the way that these smart home technologies are getting cheaper and cheaper. Don't think that there won't be someone out there that develops something where you can do it via Wi-Fi.
Yeah, because I can turn lights on and off in my house from my phone anywhere in the world.
It's coming.
So, yeah, that's coming. Oh, that would be awesome.
I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have even let that cat out of the bag, Brian. I should have developed that a smart layout that you can control via Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
See,
There
now,
you
I
go.
put it up in my office. I'd probably get some extra
just-
monitors and such in my office, and
I know,
and
but
run it,
now
and all the people there would
we
think I'm a nut job.
we just let our $1 million idea out of the bag. Listen to that.
There you go. Well, now you talk about running the trains from work. I was on layout here a couple of weeks ago, and when COVID hit, he installed cameras on his engines, cameras all around the layout, and when he has op sessions, there's a guy in Baltimore that runs one train. A fellow up in Long Island runs another train.
Oh my!
He can run the whole layout with just two people, one man to work the yard, throw the switches, and do the uncoupling of the cars, and the other guy just is a troubleshooter.
Oh, so cool!
Yeah,
That is cool. It's amazing. Like I said, the technology is coming out now. It's got to be amazing. There's so much available in this hobby right now, and it drives me nuts to hear people say, "Oh, the hobby's dying." It's not dying. Nah.
No.
In fact, I think it's reviving because of technology. Because of, I think COVID had something to do with the fact that people have gotten back into it. I'm seeing it flooded. I'm seeing a flood of amazing model railroaders and fine scale modelers out there that are all over the social media right now. It is insane. It seems like everybody out there has their own group, a Facebook group, or some kind of a website, or something going on where and it's just blowing up. So
right.
I don't see that as the case. So for years, I'm sure you've heard it too. For years, I've heard people say, "Oh, the hobby's dying. The hobby's dying." Yeah, it's not, man. It's just right now. I think it's going through a regrowth myself. But
Right. Yeah. Unfortunately, there are folks dying, but I think the hobby is still good and strong.
yeah,
It's just
And
moving.
we see that every day here. Yeah, it's changing, but everything changes.
Yeah.
right, sure.
So, yeah.
But
So,
Brett, you got anything else?
No, I actually was more interested in his background in high-rise structures now that he said that. So now let me ask you. This isn't modeling related. I mean, it kind of is on a full scale.
Yeah, we're builder people, so yeah.
What did you do when you said you were, in high-rise construction? What was your main, your main part of that?
I was a form carpenter.
Okay.
So the Miller and Long is a concrete company. So when we'd start a building, we'd put the footers, the foundation, the walls in, and then as we'd go up, you have your concrete columns, which are stacked full of rebar, reinforcing rod, and then we would set scaffolding and build a floor, a temporary floor, and that would support the concrete floor that we were going to pour. And
Right.
we just kept stacking the whole way up.
Okay. So let me ask, if you can tell, what is your favorite project that you were on? Like I'm sure you've driven by a building or whatever, and you say you've worked on it, but like, what's that building that sticks in your mind is like, that was a cool one we did?
I enjoyed all of them. Howard University. We did 2 dormitories at Howard University, and that was a learning experience.
Okay.
Because Howard University is not in the best part of D.C.
Yeah.
We saw fights. We found dead people on the job. I mean, it was
You name it.
Oh,
every day was
my
something
word.
different.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
bad part of town for drugs at that time.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
Now,
Yeah.
what was the highest building that you worked on?
We could only go 14 floors in the city.
Oh, okay, yeah. DC area. Yeah, it's not a very tall city.
No.
Okay.
I think 14 was the highest that we could go down there.
Is that because
And that
of
was
all the
high
air
enough.
traffic between Reagan and Dulles?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Is that because of all the air traffic in Dulles and Reagan so close by?
I believe it was because you can't be taller than the monuments.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense too.
Yeah, if you think about DC, Dad, there's not a lot of tall architecture in DC.
Yeah,
You get
you're right.
the monument and maybe the dome of the Capitol building is like the two tallest structures when you think about the skyline of DC.
Right.
Right.
It's a big city, but it's like really wide and flat. Huh. Yeah. Okay. Well, no,
see how we go off the key.
I was just interested in that because, like, you know, that's you're involved in probably a lot of buildings that people drive by every day and have no, you know, the what interests me with cities and construction and stuff like that is, like, even if it's a highway or whatever, there's always hundreds and hundreds of people that were involved in that project that after it's over, people don't even realize that there was a whole team of people. There was a whole team of people that were involved in it, whether it was a plumber or a form fitter or the electrical guy or whatever it is, the surveyor.
Right.
So it's just interesting to me that how we forget that, like, everything you see infrastructure or building wise, you know, there's a whole team of people that were involved in that project. We just take it for granted that it's there.
Yep.
Right.
But yeah, it's that's interesting to me. Maybe I think too deep about that stuff, but I think it's cool.
So when are you gonna build a hobby shop here in Harrisburg area?
In Newville.
So,
right.
Yeah. It's in Newville. I'm in Mechanicsburg. Now we don't mind. For me, I love the drive.
Nah.
It's for me. It's a great.
We have a new pizza shop up here now. So
good.
Check that out.
So I might not have to go to that other pizza shop I mentioned. So, yeah. Oh, that's good to know. Is that real close by, or?
Yes. It's up across the street from what is now the library, the old Western Maryland train station.
Okay, gotcha.
All right.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
Used to be a diner that a lot of folks visited. A lot of guys would come up from D.C. area, Alexandria, and they'd go up to the diner for lunch. Well, it closed up. Now it's become a pizza shop, and they serve a real good pizza up there.
Oh man,
right.
Sounds like pizza.
Sounds like a trip. I gotta go now. I gotta try the pizza. I love. Who doesn't love pizza? But
no kidding you.
Yeah,
I'm down for pizza and visiting you guys here this winter.
There you go.
Yep. Maybe Brett and I'll stop up here in the next week or two and visit you. See what we can do.
Definitely.
Okay.
Well, okay. I think it's a wrap. What do you think? It's a wrap, Brett?
I think so. How you feel, Brian?
Yeah.
Can I throw something in there about East Broad Top?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Interested?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, please do. Our fans love that stuff.
You know that they fired 16 up today and moved it around under its own power.
Oh, I did not know that.
Now, was that a rebuild?
Great. Yes, that's the first engine to be completely rebuilt.
Okay. So, and
nice.
For my dad and I's sake, please give us a little bit of background on what 16.
We're train challenged.
I know. I'm sorry, but give us a little background on that locomotive.
On the East Broad Top itself, or just that engine?
On that engine.
Okay. The last time that engine operated was 1956. They never used it during the tourist years, and when the foundation took over the railroad, they figured out that 16 was in the best shape of all. So they rebuilt pretty much everything on the engine itself. And had a brand new tender built, and it's back under steam.
Oh, I'm looking at it now.
So that will be next weekend is their winter spectacular. I was told they probably won't be pulling trains with it, but it will be under steam at that time.
Nice. I'm looking up pictures of it right now. Do
they do up at East Broad Top? Do they do excursions and such as well?
Right. They have 4.5 mile out to Colgate Grove, the old tourist part of the railroad that they ran for so many years.
Sure.
That's all been rehabbed. They have a ballast tamper and regulator now. So track work's really good shape. They've been rebuilding the track in the yard. That's our main focus right now. they're finishing up the car shop, the south end of the car shop. They've rebuilt the doors, and they're hoping to finish that up here whenever they get good enough weather to work on it, I guess. Because this weekend is a work weekend up there.
Mm-hmm.
But they're only calling for it to be like 20 degrees during the day.
Right.
So
Nice and warm.
Yeah.
Nice and warm.
We're looking forward to it.
Yeah. But they have a volunteer track crew that works 2 and 3 days a week up there, replacing tires. They've rebuilt the coal tipple house, the rip track, and once they get some grading work done out at Jordan Summit, they're going to start laying track south towards Pogue.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
They've been hard at work at it now for some time on that. When did they start? When did they start kicking up on this particular project?
On what, the engine or?
No, they really come into their own East Broad Top. I'm seeing a lot of advertising for it and such.
Right.
In the last several years. But I don't know how long they've been at it business wise to try and draw people in.
I think February was, I think this month will be the 2-year mark.
Okay.
They've been at.
I thought it was just a couple years. Well, that's awesome. They made great progress in a short span of time.
I'm looking at
the friends have done a lot of work up there.
I'm looking at on an oldeasty.com the history of number 16, and it's actually like it's a cool locomotive. It used to what did they say that here? Let me go back. I went down a rabbit hole here, which is typical on the internet.
This happens all the time.
Yeah, it entered the age of modern steam in 1916, so it's 108 years old, that's crazy. It received its first of 3 large Mikados.
Right.
And it says, unlike the previously smaller locomotives, number 16 came with superheaters, piston valves, and southern valve gear. And it used to pull empty hoppers from Mount Union, PA to Rock Hill in one train, literally clearing out the yard. So I guess it was a transport train between yards. And underwent an overhaul in 1955, but it only made a few trips in that final year after it was overhauled originally, before the railroad shut down and the East Broad Top Railroad, it went out in 56. So, it just sat dormant for, almost 70 years.
Yeah. Yeah. If anybody's interested, they can go to Facebook, go to East Broad Top Railroad, and there's a video on the engine there.
Now,
oh, cool! I'm going to do that.
I have a question, and if you can't answer this, just tell me, because you're not the lead historian there. We're putting you on a spot here, Brian. But where are they? Were all of these locomotives left like in a storehouse or a yard?
In the roundhouse.
Okay.
Yeah, they just shut the railroad down. Like if you their shop complex up there.
Yeah.
Before they started rehabbing everything, they gave tours, and it's like everybody just went home for supper and never came back.
So it was like a time capsule.
Oh yeah.
So it's basically like a time capsule to 1956. They just shut the doors, walked out.
Yep.
Huh.
Wow.
And then obviously the money involved with it and the work involved with it, it takes some time. So it takes a while to get all of these locomotives up and running. So to get one functional again is a big undertaking.
Right. Yes. And now 16's pretty much done now. They'll break it in and have all the little bugs to work out of it.
Yeah.
And then number 15 will probably be the next engine that they bring back online.
Yeah.
Nice.
But they've gotten 3 of their 4 brand new passenger cars on site. 2 of them are already in service. So it looks to be a really good year up there.
Yeah. Now when they rebuild one of these, that money that they're using, is that donation money? Is it who funds that?
Well, I'm sure them giving tours too raises some
Well,
money.
right, I get that, sure.
Well, I think the way that works is the foundation, the owners of the railroad, they're taking care of all the locomotive and maintenance costs on all the cars and locomotives.
Okay.
But then the Friends, we do fundraising every month. They send out, hey, we need some money.
Yeah.
And we have bought pies, all the supplies to rebuild the buildings.
That's awesome.
The Kowalczyks had paid to have several of the buildings jacked up and leveled.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the material, or most of the material, the Friends of East Broad Top have.
Nice.
So it's
that's great.
It's all basically funded.
Love that.
It's all funded through private donations of the members or friends of East Broad Top.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's great. We love that. We're history buffs and history fanatics.
It's also
both
cool.
of us, and
it's also
we've
cool.
seen that. We've seen the work that can be done with that.
It's also cool to, yeah, I mean, so my dad and I want to put a pin in what I was just going to say. My dad and I have a couple friends that work for the Shenandoah Valley Battlefield Preservation. And it's very similar. Now, obviously, they're not rebuilding locomotives and working with steam, but they're going through private donations and fundraising to
Acquiring land,
to buy and preserve land. And even there was a couple circumstances where through the Shenandoah Valley where they were buying land from competitors like Walmart and places like that, and actually securing land deals to preserve these things for hundreds of the next 99 or 100 years from your Walmarts or your Costco's or whatever from coming in and turning a battlefield into a big parking lot with a big department store or a big warehouse on it. And
right.
It's neat to see it. It's obviously a different application of funds, but it's a cool way to preserve our history, otherwise which would have probably been flattened and taken to a scrapyard. And the other thing I wanted to say, which I said I put a pin in, when you said there is a break-in period for these steam locomotives, I'm not well versed in steam locomotives. Is it kind of like a new car where they tell you not to drive your new car too wildly when you first buy it? You got to have a break-in period for it. Is a steam locomotive very similar? You said they weren't going to pull anything with it yet, but it'll be up and running and functional for a break-in time.
It's working all the little bugs out.
Okay.
Of it.
It is a complicated machine.
This locomotive has, it's a complicated machine, and the crew that's working on it, they're all well versed in it. Dave, who's the chief mechanical officer up there, he came from the Strasburg shops. And him and Lynn Moninger, who was chief mechanical officer at Strasburg Railroad, have been working side by side on all this stuff.
Okay.
And there's a lot of knowledgeable people there, but like with anything, you got to run it and try it and see what you got to fix in the meantime.
You don't want to put a load on that engine when it's fresh out of the shop, and then you got to go back and do a bunch of repairs. You want to get it fine tuned before you hook it up to something.
Yeah.
Now,
so they by spring they'll have a steam train running.
It'll be rock and rolling.
That's sweet.
Now, one other question, and I apologize for being super interested in this in the last couple minutes here. You were saying that the Strasburg Railroad folks were pitching in on this. Is there kind of a mutual collaboration between the Strasburg people and the East Broad Top crew, or is it they're working together, or is there some kind of bond between them?
East Broad Top has their own crew. Dave had worked at Strasburg.
Okay.
And when this opportunity at East Broad Top came along, he moved up there.
Gotcha.
And Lynn Moninger, who had been the chief mechanical officer over there at Strasburg, he is on the board of the foundation. So he is one of the board members.
Sure.
And takes care of all the technical end of working on cars and locomotives.
Gotcha.
because of his experience from Strasbourg. So they've got a really good mix of people up there that seem to know what they're doing, and they're doing it.
Yeah, no, it's great.
And now, as far as the shops, if old stuff interests people, like we were talking about the shops, that is all line shafts up there. Belts and line shafts runs all the equipment in there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's cool. I love that kind of part of things. The machinery
and it all works.
Wow.
They've got everything leveled up and squared up, and they run it off an air compressor.
Oh, my.
It's all functional.
When you take the shop tour, they turn everything on and everything moves.
Huh.
Oh, I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, definitely.
This is cool. Now, our area, Brian, living in this area, we're very fortunate with historic railroads, because if you look at historic maps of railroad lines in the country, our area of the country is like, you can't even see the outlines outlines of the state, because there's so many old historic railroad lines everywhere. Even if it's smaller stuff, like I do I spend a lot of time in the woods, do a lot of trail running, and up, like, I don't know if you know where Tuscarora State Forest is.
Mm-hmm.
But north of me here, in the Tuscarora State Forest, there's a bunch of small lines that were from, like, logging and coal mining areas that are just, like...
Right.
There's no more track, obviously, but just these little tiny... They might be a mile long. They'd run up the mountain and back down, and they're just these old railroad beds up in the mountains, just buried under, 100 years worth of leaves and sticks and stuff falling on them, and it's interesting.
There's probably a name for those lines.
There are.
But we just don't know.
Well, it might have just been it might have just been the company that owned the operation at the time. To get it down towards a main road so they can get their logs out, or get if they were logging that mountain to get it out. But our area is, when you get into the depths of it, is scattered with just old, like, railroad beds. You can see them once you start looking for them, like these raised areas. It's very interesting.
Yep, that it is.
So, anyways.
Well, thank you for letting me get that plug in there.
No, I appreciate it. We love history too, so we never mind.
So many people, so many of our listeners are well-versed in train lore, train history, and all the lines. We unfortunately are not. We're just fine scale modeler guys. We
like the history of it.
We love the history. We love the history of everything. But our listeners are going to eat that story up. So that's
good.
Yeah.
So all right. Well,
so
I think I'm good, actually. I'm actually going to spend the night looking up.
I asked him about building a shop in Harrisburg, and that's not going to happen. So
you're right there. It won't happen.
When we do modeling, we use a lot of the paints and materials and stuff too that are used by the military modeling community and such, which are like AK Interactive and Vallejo and things like that.
Tamiya.
And Tamiya, and obviously you don't have those in your shop, but that was one of my questions is when you're going to get that stuff in.
We have picked up a small Vallejo rack.
Okay.
We've started carrying some more of the Tamiya stuff.
Oh, good.
Yeah, well, the Vallejo rack, that only took 2.5 years to get that. Everybody blamed it on COVID. I don't know, but we do have that now. It's got the basic colors in, like 24 colors.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And now that Scale Coat has went out of business, supposedly, we're looking at picking up a couple other lines. There's a company out there, and the name escapes me right now. They have announced that they're going to bring back 30 flow quill colors in the lacquer base.
Okay.
So, we've been in touch with them, and we've been in touch with them, and they said when we get up and running, we will contact you. So, and then True Color, he just keeps getting out more and more stuff. I don't know if you guys used the True Color stuff or not. But,
I haven't. I use a lot of AK Interactive or MIG ammo. We use and we use a lot of acrylics that are from.
But I will say though,
we use craft acrylics, but we also use a lot of acrylics that are. I'm using some of the Vallejo stuff, and now I've stepped into this. Well, I haven't tried it yet, but we're going to step into some airbrushing. So we'll see what that's about.
I will say, if you get those flow quill colors back in, like not you in general, but if you can get those flow quill colors back, like that's going to be huge, because that was I think my first foray into model paints is those old flow quill bottles. And the problem is now, if you have any left over and you were holding on to them, they're so probably dried out and just chunks in the bottom of the glass jar. Like you can't even find much old flow quill anymore. So.
Right.
People that were stashing it, they're out of luck, because it's going to dry up. So I'm interested to see if that takes off, because I would definitely.
That was owned by, wasn't that Testers that owned the original flow quill?
Right.
Yeah.
But it was better than Testers.
And then it got sold to Rust-Oleum, and then it all went downhill from there.
And they had some of the best. They had some of the best colors that you can't. I've tried to recreate some of those colors. And I've tried other paint companies that said, these are the same color matches. And they're not, man. They don't work the same. They don't apply the same. That was a unique product. It was toxic as hell.
That's why we're all a little goofy.
What is it anymore, right? Right, yeah.
But
put the mask on.
All right. Well, that's exciting.
Good news. That's good news to hear. See? We're getting all kinds of nuggets out of him tonight, man. Tonight, and we will definitely be in to visit you often, and we appreciate. I talked to you earlier before the show. We're gonna try and get you on, like maybe every 3 or 4 months, and you said you're okay with that. About the newer products that are coming out. It'll be a shorter segment.
Yeah.
We can do 15, 20 minutes or half hour, or if we go down the rabbit hole, it goes longer.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, and Dad, we can always do the normal show, and then have a cut in, like a little feature. So
right, exactly. So
awesome.
We'll do something along that lines. I love it, because I think we need more.
Sounds good, guys.
From the hobby.
Definitely.
You got it, my friend. You have a good night.
Thank you, Brian.
You too. Thank you all.
All right. Thank you.
Good night.